And here's the thing about the shame. It doesn't motivate change. It locks you in survival mode. It makes you hide, not heal. Okay, we're gonna do that again. What's up, you beautiful beasts? In this video, we're diving into something that is deeply misunderstood and deeply human: emotional eating. Now let's just name the elephant in the fridge. We have been taught that emotional eating is a failure of discipline, a moral weakness, a lack of control, and somehow also a personality flaw, a bad habit, and a scandalous late-night secret. Like, calm down, Carol. But here's the truth bomb. Emotional eating is not a flaw in your character. It's actually a clue about what your nervous system is going through. And those messages we get from diet culture, social media, and sometimes even our own inner critic, they don't help. They just add layers of guilt and shame on top of an already hard experience. Layers that can often lead to isolation. And here's the thing about shame. It doesn't motivate change. It locks you in survival mode. It makes you hide, not heal. And let's be real, hiding usually involves snacks. So, been there. So if you've ever found yourself elbows deep in a bag of Doritos at 9 p.m. and thought, oh, what's wrong with me? First of all, nothing. You're not broken. Second of all, you're in the right place. Let's talk about what emotional eating really is, what causes it, how trauma and stress feed into it, and what to do about it without guilt, shame, or food policing. And also without pretending that celery sticks actually fix sadness, because spoiler alert, they don't.
Disclaimer, I am not a licensed therapist. I'm an NASM certified personal trainer, certified nutritionist, and master neurotransformational results coach. Heal the Beast is about exploring personal growth, resilience, and self-connection, not clinical diagnosis or treatment. This space is not therapy. It's reflection, insight, and tools to help you reconnect with your body, your story, and your strength. I'm trained to support deep inner work, emotional healing, and nervous system regulation. If you ever need more than what's here, please reach out to a licensed mental health professional. There's no shame in seeking help, and you don't have to do this alone. Healing isn't linear, and it doesn't have to be logical to be real.
What emotional eating really is. Emotional eating is using food to soothe, numb, distract from, or cope with feelings. And while that sounds like something we shouldn't do, let's not forget, coping is a survival skill. Food is comforting. It actually lights up the same reward centers in the brain as a hug, a laugh, or a cry. It gives us a hit of dopamine, that feel-good neurotransmitter that actually helps us feel pleasure, motivation, and emotional relief. Now, yes, dopamine does play a role in addiction, but that doesn't mean every time your brain releases dopamine that you're addicted. Dopamine is supposed to do that. It helps your brain learn, seek safety, and remember what feels good, like your favorite meal, a warm blanket, or the dopamine hit of canceling plans. Ah, yes, that dopamine. Getting a dopamine boost from food is totally normal. It doesn't mean you're out of control. It means your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The goal isn't to fear dopamine, it's to understand it and to respond to those needs with care and not shame. Now, this is especially powerful when you were never taught emotional regulation growing up. For me, emotional eating started when I was 7, which was the same year my parents got divorced. I didn't know I was coping, I was just eating. Eating when I was sad, eating when I was confused, eating to fill the silence that suddenly took over our home. Food just became the one thing that didn't ask me to take sides or explain myself. And no one ever taught me how to process my emotions, so I didn't have any other tools, just food. And in those situations, food becomes a reliable source of relief. Predictable, fast, legal, and socially acceptable, until it isn't. If you're curious about my entire story, click here. And for so many people, it's the same. Trauma or chronic stress rewires your nervous system to seek comfort in any way that it can, because safety never felt guaranteed. Which is exactly when the shame parade shows up, wearing skinny jeans and a smug expression. The problem was never the food. It's that we reach for comfort with the only tool that we've been given, and then we carry out the weight of the shame for doing so. The brain science of emotional eating. Okay. Let's nerd out for a second. When you're stressed, your amygdala, aka the panic button of your brain, activates. That alerts your hypothalamus, which triggers a flood of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones are great for emergencies like running from a bear or your mother-in-law. But in today's world, that emergency might be a tense conversation, a financial scare, scrolling through diet culture bullshit on Instagram, or just feeling out of control and like your whole life is one giant group project that you didn't sign up for. Cortisol is basically your body's survival prepper. Stockpile the snacks, it says. A threat is near. Could be a tiger, could be your mom's tone in that text. Now add in dopamine dysregulation, which is common in folks with chronic stress, trauma histories, ADHD, depression, or anxiety. Your brain might be underproducing or under-responding to the dopamine, so it learns to chase quick fixes. And food? One of the fastest. So it's not about willpower. This is about a nervous system trying to protect you. And honestly, it's doing the best it can with the tools that it has. Trauma, stress, and survival mechanisms. If you have lived through trauma, whether it's big T trauma like abuse, or little t trauma like chronic shaming, diet cycling, or being weighed in a gym class, your body learns that safety is conditional. And when safety feels shaky, comfort becomes everything. That's when emotional eating stops being occasional and starts becoming embedded into your self-regulation loop. Every time you eat to soothe, your brain makes a little mental note. Oh, that helped. Let's do that again next time. And because it did help, even if only briefly, your brain keeps rerouting to it. That is called neuroplasticity because I love big words. And that's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that your brain is smart as hell. It just hasn't learned the full menu of coping tools yet. And we're gonna fix that. You're not wrong for reaching for food, and you deserve a bigger toolbox. Let's clear something up. Using food to cope isn't bad. It's not toxic, it's not weak, and it's definitely not something you need to beat yourself up over. Food is one of the oldest, most accessible ways humans have comforted themselves, and honestly, sometimes a cookie is a valid form of self-care, especially when it's warm. Don't fight me on this. But emotional eating gets tricky when it's the only tool in your emotional toolbox, when it's the one reliable way you know how to self-soothe, and when it leaves you feeling worse afterward, physically, emotionally, or mentally. That's when it starts to feel more like a trap than a choice. So no, the goal isn't to stop emotional eating entirely. That would be like banning hugs because you cried during one once. The goal is to understand why it's happening, meet yourself with compassion instead of criticism, and slowly give your nervous system more options to feel safe, grounded, and supported. Because food is one way to care for yourself, but it's not the only way. And the more tools you have, the less pressure food has to carry all the weight. What actually helps? Real tips, no shame. Number 1, practice the pause. Before you reach for food, pause and ask, what am I feeling right now? What do I actually need? This isn't about stopping yourself, it's more about adding awareness. Even like a 10-second pause is giving your brain a flashlight in the dark. Number 2, build a coping menu. Make a list of 5 things that help you feel calm or safe that aren't food. They don't need to be Instagram worthy, just think. Stretching, crying in the shower, voice memo ranting, listening to nostalgic music, hugging a pet or a pillow, or your emotional support stuffed sloth from childhood. No judgment. You're not replacing food, you're giving your nervous system more options. Number 3, regulate your nervous system. You can't fix a dysregulated nervous system, but daily practices like deep breathing, body scans, humming, or grounding techniques can. So can laughter, and so can dancing like a chaotic raccoon in your kitchen. I've done it, 10 out of 10, would recommend. Number 4, stop starving yourself. Seriously, restriction, whether it's physical or mental, puts your brain in survival mode. If you're constantly under eating, your body will panic. Eat enough, eat regularly. That's not indulgence, that's regulation. Number 5, heal the shame with safe connection. Connect the beast. Shame thrives in silence, but it shrinks when it's spoken out loud to someone safe. A coach, a therapist, a bestie who won't judge, someone who sees your heart and not just your habits. And hey, if you're looking for that kind of support, hi, I'm literally raising my hand over here. I help people unpack emotional eating, reconnect with their bodies, and build kinder relationships with food. It's kind of like what I do. You don't ever have to do this alone. Ever. So the next time someone gives you that look or drops a comment like, "Are you eating your emotions again?" you don't owe them an explanation. But you can remind yourself of the truth. This isn't weakness. It's a nervous system trying to self-soothe the only way it knows how. You're not just grabbing food, you're reaching for safety. And that doesn't make you broken. That makes you human. The real problem isn't the craving. It's the shame that gets layered on top of it. The judgment, the silence, the assumption that emotional eating is something to mock and not understand. But here's the truth. Your cravings are communication. Your patterns are protection. And your job is not to control or suppress. It's to listen, to respond with care, and to build more options, not more guilt. Because you're not a problem to fix. You're someone worth supporting, and that part of you reaching for comfort, that part deserves compassion, not criticism. So start there. That's where the healing begins. So drop a comment and tell me, what's one emotion that tends to drive emotional eating for you? And what's one thing you're gonna try instead? Let's be real, this is a conversation most people aren't having out loud, so your voice might just help someone feel a little less alone. If this video hit home, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ready to replace shame with self-compassion. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be kind to yourself. You're not just surviving, you're learning to thrive. And every step you take with curiosity and compassion, that's you unveiling the beautiful beast within you.